Hello and welcome to my channel. I'm so glad to have you here. Today I'm going to be speaking about something that's very important to me, and it's going to be all about Ocrevus and multiple sclerosis. I have multiple sclerosis. I was diagnosed with the disease when I was 16, but I was experiencing symptoms long before that. I'll definitely make another video about how I was diagnosed and what I was experiencing, if that's something that interests you, but today we'll just be focused on Ocrevus. So Ocrevus is an infusion that's used to treat multiple sclerosis. It's something that's very close to my heart, and I hope that I can help as many people as possible, especially those of us who live day to day with multiple sclerosis, or anyone who lives with the disease and knows what it's like to experience chronic illness and everything that goes along with that. I hope that you stay positive and remain positive. While I will never necessarily say I'm grateful to have the disease, what I would say is that I'm no longer in a place where I am depressed about it. Obviously there's times when I get depressed about it, but I have really found a way to just live with it and work through it, and most days I don't even think about it. Obviously when I'm experiencing symptoms, I know that it's MS, but it's not like I'm going to go to my room and cry about it. I experience symptoms every day like most people living with the disease. However, it's not something that gets me down. I'm not going to allow it to take over my life. I'm not going to allow it to rule my life or ruin my life, and it definitely doesn't. You know, I live a very happy, conscious, healthy life, and MS plays a huge part in my journey and the way I live, but it's not something that negatively affects me or really deeply hurts me anymore. It's just something that I can coexist with, and I feel like I've really reached a place in my life where I am able to live the day-to-day in a happy and positive way, as opposed to being really sad that I have a disease. It's completely normal if you are sad and if you're still struggling to come to terms with your diagnosis. And if you are one of those people, I really hope that eventually you can find peace with the diagnosis and just be able to live your life and not let the disease completely take over your life. You are still who you are, or whoever you want to be, and you don't have to let this thing completely destroy you or completely take over who you want to be and the life you want to live. I think that it's very possible to be able to find an extremely healthy balance, and I hope that this video helps you in some way. I just wanted to put this all out there before I get into the video, because today I'm just going to be speaking about the infusion, what to expect, what happens, but I want to start it off on a positive note so that it doesn't have to be something that you feel sorry for about me, or something that I'm going to feel sorry for about you, because especially if you're here because you have the disease. We can just kind of work together, we can be positive, and I'm just gonna get into it now. Let's get into the infusion. So I go to an infusion center, so you arrive there, you sit down, and I always start off my infusion with getting 2 Tylenol tablets. Injected, they're probably gonna draw some bloods, and then they're gonna start the infusion. Before you start the Ocrevus infusion, you'll get a round of steroids and Benadryl. I personally hate Benadryl. It makes me feel so terrible. For me, what happens is everything starts moving in slow motion, and I feel very lethargic. I feel like I'm sleeping, but my brain is awake, but my brain isn't conscious. I feel very lethargic, very drowsy, very fatigued. I feel like I can't really speak to anyone. I honestly feel awful. So what I like to do is I like to have some headphones in. I'd like to listen to some podcasts or music, or if you feel up for it, you can watch a movie. Some tips that I would suggest is tell the person, if a person is coming with you to the infusion, I would just tell them beforehand, listen, I'm not going to be able to talk or communicate that much when I'm on the medication, so it's best if you just kind of do your own thing and I'll do my own thing. The reason I say this is because I have gone to the infusion with my sister, I've gone to the infusion with my mom, I've had my doctor come in and check on me, and it's not always a very nice feeling when people are in the room and they're expecting you to reply to them and have a normal conversation with them, and they're expecting you to be your normal bubbly self or however your personality is. You're not going to be like that. You're going to be so lethargic and drowsy, and it's just, you don't want to be held accountable for how you act or how you're acting. You're already going through an extremely difficult medical procedure. The last thing you should be worrying about is how you're treating other people. So what I like to do is I just like to explain, I'm going to be really drowsy. I'm just going to, pop my headphones in, and I kind of just close my eyes. If you're lying on a bed, I think it's much easier to sleep. I've never actually managed to fall asleep on the Benadryl. It makes me want to fall asleep, and I really wish I could fall asleep, but my body just doesn't shut down. Something weird that happens to me, I don't know if it happens to anyone else, but my heart starts beating really fast and I get a lot of frights. So maybe if I was listening to something and there was like a change in the music, I get a fright. If I open my eyes and I see like the nurse walking around, I get a fright. It's the craziest thing. It's really weird, but yeah, I get very bad heart palpitations, and I sometimes think I'm falling, so I am constantly getting frights while I'm on the Benadryl. If anyone's experienced that, it would be nice to know that I'm not alone. So that's what I experience. So we've got the steroids, we've got the Benadryl, we've got the symptoms would probably be drowsiness, heart palpitations, shortness of breath. Some people get itchy, some people get flushed. Be potent for the body, and just be gentle with yourself. Don't expect anything. Don't be disappointed with yourself if you get symptoms. If you don't, that's amazing. But I think it's pretty normal that when you're going through the steroids and the Benadryl, you're definitely going to feel like shit, and that is so normal. I think that everyone experiences the drowsiness. I know that most people hate Benadryl, and so I think that if you do, just try breathe through it. I like to do is I'm very kind of like time oriented when I'm there. I want to know how everything's going. I want to know the time. I'm essentially counting down so that I can leave, and for me this actually calms me down. If this stresses you out, if you just want to go there and just go with it, that's perfectly fine. But what I like to do is I like to listen to a podcast that's like an hour and a half. I like to calm myself down by saying, okay, by the time this podcast is over, you're going to be a little more conscious. So I really just like to calm myself down by watching the time pass. So I'll want to watch a nice long movie, I will want to listen to podcasts, blah 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 blah. Just a tip to note is that often when you're in the infusion, everything that you've planned kind of falls away. There's no way that you can plan for this. Even while I'm saying I like to watch a movie, listen to a podcast, honestly most of the time I lie with my eyes closed, I cry sometimes. Whatever you're experiencing, it's fine, it's okay, and it's valid. You're going through something very, very difficult. Yesterday I went for my 4th infusion. It was basically my 3rd full dose because the first 2 infusions are half doses. So it was my 4th dose. As far as I'm aware, it may have been my 5th, I'm not 100% sure. And the infusion yesterday was very, very difficult for me. The first few, I was drowsy and a little bit hot, whatever, flushing, a little bit itchy, my arm was burning, but it wasn't anything that I couldn't handle. Yesterday's one was extremely, extremely intense, and I think that I felt a little bit disappointed because the other few had gone so well and I was expecting it to be kind of like smooth sailing, but it wasn't. And I just want to reiterate that whatever happens when you're in the infusion center, don't worry about it. It's normal and it's valid, and you can't always prepare for these things. They're really difficult, and you just need to be gentle with yourself and allow yourself to kind of experience and flow with whatever's happening, because it's going to be over. You won't be there forever. Time will move on and you will feel better. I always like to remind myself there was a time that I felt better before this, and there's going to be a time that I felt better after this. So it doesn't matter what's happening, everything will be okay. at some point I'm going to feel different, and that kind of just calms me down. But like I said, when you're in there and you're getting your infusion, all your enlightenment falls out the window often, and sometimes you're miserable, sometimes you're in a good mood. Whatever you're feeling is cool. So I think now I will go into clothes that you should wear. Obviously the last thing you want to be doing the morning of your infusion is picking out some cute, awesome, fashionable outfit. I know that I definitely don't like to do this. I want to be comfortable, I want it to go quickly, I don't want to be in some kind of like cool outfit that actually just makes me feel like shit. So what I like to do is wear something comfortable. I would suggest wearing if you're going to be wearing a jersey, if it's cold, which it usually is, I would suggest make sure you're wearing like a top underneath and then a button or zip jersey. Reason being is because I've gone in with a jersey with no way to get it off except over your head or whatever, and because the infusion was in my arm, I couldn't get the jersey off. So when I started getting shortness of breath and a hot flush, I was fucking stuck in a jersey. And I know you can kind of just like take it off the one arm, but the problem is that then it just like clumps up on the side that you have your infusion in, and that's really not comfortable. You don't want to be, you know, fucking around with that arm. So yeah, just make sure you have something that you can just take off. So another thing that I would suggest is wear really comfortable pants, nothing with a zip or a belt or something that's difficult to take off. The reason being is because when you go to the bathroom, you're going to be one-handed. You'll obviously walk with your infusion and the infusion will still be in your arm, and when you get to the toilet, you're only going to have one arm to be able to take your pants off. So make sure it's something that's easy to take off, because you don't want to be pulling at your infusion, you don't want to fuck around with where it's injected into you, you just want to be super calm, comfortable, take the pants off, you know, do whatever. So my infusion center gives me a blanket. If your infusion center doesn't do that, maybe take a blanket. I would really suggest taking a pillow, or those kind of airplane pillows might be really helpful, especially if you're sitting. Like I said, my infusion center I sit down in, the chair can kind of adjust, but I would have done much better if I'd had some kind of like pillow and neck rest. It would have probably made lying down a little bit more comfortable. Usually they put a pillow on the arm that has the injection in. My infusion center also gives you a hot pad. That is so helpful. It just makes everything feel so much nicer and so much more comfortable. My infusion center offers lunch. If yours doesn't, make sure you pack something nice. And another thing, I know that going to the bathroom is super annoying when you are having the infusion, but I like to think of it that I'm gonna flush whatever's in me out, and you would most likely need to go to the bathroom. You're having a lot of liquid pass through your body. But what I like to do is just to balance this out by drinking water. Something really helpful is to drink hot tea, because your throat might get really sore. Sometimes the destroying of the cells mimics a kind of common cold, and that definitely happens to me, so I'll start experiencing a sore throat or an itchy throat. If you're very sore and very swollen, please tell your nurse that you're experiencing this so that they can give you more Benadryl. If it's just very light, still let them know, but this can usually be helped with just some hot tea. Bring lots of comfort food. I had chocolates, I had sweets, I had anything that makes me feel good. I love coconut water. I love to just kind of make the process balanced out by having good things accompanying a bad thing. So I make the process a little bit better by the foods and things that I'm putting into my body. That seems to really help me. When I'm in that state, the only thing that I can get excited about is food. So I just like to make sure that I'm having things that are really nice. I really don't give a shit about if it's healthy or not. In that state and you're having such a hectic infusion that's making you feel like shit, go for the comfort food. You're on an intense amount of steroids. You're burning calories like crazy, and don't care about what you're eating. I think eat something that makes you feel good. That's junk food. I love it, I enjoy it, I embrace it. I honestly don't care. I just go with it and I just accept wherever I'm at that time. And if that means that what's going to make me feel better is chocolates and Skittles and fizzy drinks, then that's what it's going to be. If what makes me feel better is coconut water and a salad, then that's what it's going to be. Whatever I'm feeling, I'm going to allow myself to feel that emotion. Whatever I want, I'm usually going to allow myself to do that. Just a quick play-by-play. You have comfortable clothes, you have something nice to eat, you have a blanket, you have a comfortable jersey, you have maybe some warm socks, you have your charged devices, whether it's your laptop, your headphones, your cell phone. All of these kinds of things will just help entertain you and make the process go by a little bit more comfortably. Then when it comes to the side effects, sorry, I literally have pins and needles. If you're an MS person, you know what I'm going through right now. So yeah, common side effects, guys. MS brain. So common side effects once you have got your infusion. Usually what happens to me is that I feel very, very tired and very drowsy. My eyes feel very droopy, a little bit puffy. Sometimes my vision's actually even a bit blurry. So I don't really like to do much. You know, I'm very keen on, I don't really like to do much after the process. I am not really a person who's going to go out and exercise after having the infusion. Maybe what I like to do is have some fresh air. This is obviously because you've been sitting inside for like 7 hours, stuck to a machine. So it's really nice once it's finished to just go out, get some fresh air, breathe a bit. I have some water. But other than that, you're probably going to be really drowsy and really tired, so I would suggest just going home and relaxing. For me, the side effect of sleepiness, drowsiness lasts quite a long time after. I would say maybe about up to 3 days, but this can last up to a week for some people, depending on your body, depending on how much energy you even had before going into it. You might have a bit of a runny tummy, you might have stomach cramps, you might have a bit of the cold symptoms again. You have to remember that all of your B cells have been destroyed, and it's no wonder you feel a little bit under the weather. This is so normal. And yeah, so if you might experience some flu-like symptoms, you might experience drowsiness, you might experience fatigue, you might be way more tired than you usually are. I would suggest to sleep. You might have stomach cramps, you might have a runny tummy. That happens to me. Yeah, so there's no way of me being able to tell you all the side effects that you're going to experience. Those are just some of the side effects that I've experienced. Everyone's body is different. Some people are super good afterwards, some people not so much. Whatever you're experiencing, like I've said this whole video, it's okay. You're going through such an extremely tough thing, and be gentle with yourself and just allow yourself to relax and just embrace wherever you are at. Ocrevus is working really well for me. If you're thinking about going on Ocrevus, obviously speak to your neurologist, but in my opinion, it's been a really good drug for me. I'm really glad that I'm on it over my old oral medication, which made me feel really, really bad day to day. I was flushing, I was relapsing. Yeah, it just wasn't a nice experience. So I'm really, really happy with Ocrevus. It's so nice to only be getting this, you know, every 6 months. And while I still have obviously MS and MS symptoms every single day, it just makes me feel better knowing that I'm on a really good medication that could potentially help me in the long run. I know that I've seen some people on the MS group asking if people are still relapsing or experiencing symptoms on Ocrevus, namely towards the end of the 5-month mark. And I would say completely yes. By the end of the 5 months, I'm usually experiencing a lot of symptoms. I'm experiencing a lot of dizziness. I get a little bit of brain jitters. I obviously have the pins and needles, the numbness, the tingling, the fatigue, all my usual symptoms, and I know a lot of the symptoms that other people with MS suffer with. If your symptoms are different, then you might even be experiencing the same thing even being on Ocrevus. I think that that's pretty normal. You know, we have lesions in different parts of our brain and spinal cord. I have in my spinal cord, so you're still going to be experiencing everything. But I just feel like it makes me feel better knowing that it just makes me feel better knowing that I only have to do it every 6 months and that I'm in good hands with the drug, if that makes sense. So at the moment, I'm really enjoying Ocrevus. I'm definitely not going to change anytime soon. And yeah, you know, it is very difficult. I'm having all the same kind of symptoms. MS doesn't go away just because you are on a better drug than you were before. Your MS is still there, you still have MS. You still have MS, but as for any new symptoms, I haven't experienced any new symptoms, excluding the dizziness. I've been experiencing dizziness and off balance, falls, etc. a lot more frequently on the Ocrevus now than before, but it makes sense. I'm getting older, and so obviously I'm going to be experiencing some new symptoms. For chronic pain, I definitely still have a lot of chronic pain. For me, the most of my pain that I experience is from my back. Yeah, I don't know if other people experience that as well, but for me, back pain is an extremely difficult one to live with. However, I really feel like over the past year, I've come a far way from where I was, and that makes me so happy. You know, there was a stage before I went onto the Ocrevus where I honestly thought I was going to be in a wheelchair. I couldn't walk or stand for longer than 10 minutes. My back would just be in spasms. I would lie in bed at night, you know, just crying, thinking like I can't move, etc, etc. However, my back is so much better, and I would love to share everything that I've been doing for back pain. Obviously, I've switched medicine, so that's a huge difference. But something that I've been doing for back pain is yoga and stretching. Stretching is the only way to help lower back pain. It's the only way that you're going to get those spasms out. I've gone to physio, I've gone to doctors. Stretching is the only way to get the cramps out, the spasms out, and to cope with the back pain. And this is something that my neurologist would always tell me. He'd always say stretching is the only way that's going to get the back pain to be alleviated. Obviously, I didn't listen. I thought, what the hell could stretching do? Let me just tell you, it works, and I'm living proof. I've gone from someone who couldn't stand up for longer than 10 minutes to being someone who walks over 10,000 steps a day. I'm very active. I do yoga, etc, etc. And yes, my back is still sore, there's no denying that, but it is nowhere close to the way it was. And I can really tell the difference between when I do stretch and when I don't stretch. And I've been stretching every night now for about 6 months. There have been some nights where I've missed it, and the next morning I can completely tell that I missed it because I have the back pain. So it's a small price to pay to live a pain-free life. Anyway, I hope that you enjoyed the video, and I really loved making this. It's something that's very close to my heart.